session of the St. John Board of Police meeting to order. And as I said previously, welcome to our new members, Caitlin Dean and Tamara Kelly, to their first formal meeting of the St. John Board of Police Commissioners. I know they've had with the chief a tour of the St. John Police Force headquarters and got an update on operations and things of that nature from the chief last Thursday. So we look forward to your input over the next 3 years and your assistance as we deal with the many issues that come before the St. John Board of Police Commissioners. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 21st, 2020 open session meeting minutes. If I could have a mover and a second, that would be great.
So,
thank you, Doug. Seconded, Micah. On the motion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. The next item that I want to talk generally, just for the public. One of the things that the board, on occasion and when issues arise, want to ensure the public that, to the full extent possible, we try to deal with matters in open session. There are of course, legal matters and things of that nature that, and operational matters for which the chief brings to us a closed session. And over the course of the next few months, we're going to endeavor to ensure that items that can be brought forward in closed or in open session, will be. So for the purposes of the public, we're going to do that. At the last Board of Police Commissioners meeting in July, we didn't meet in August. There was a brief discussion on the state of the strategic plan, and the chief has engaged in that process, and it is underway. Two aspects of it are an internal process that the chief is dealing with, and also part of the process is a public engagement part. And what will take place over the next few months is we're going to announce some public forums, public sessions where members of the public can come before the commission in an informal manner and speak to us and raise any concerns that they have vis-a-vis the St. John Police Force, its structure, governance, any items of that nature. The St. John Police Force has a strategic plan in place, but it needs to be updated. So of course, there's all kinds of issues that might arise in the strategic planning process, and it's something that we're not going to prejudge the process or what comes up, but just for the public's point of view, we want to ensure that those who are interested have the opportunity to come before the commission, and I expect those meetings will be off-site as well as potentially at the community room at the police headquarters. I remember doing that a number of years ago, having meetings at the North End Community Center and in other locations. Unfortunately, we didn't get much uptake from the public when we had those meetings, so hopefully if people have concerns, once we announce the dates and locations, we'll get a good turnout. But in general, what I said is, the commission will endeavor to ensure that those matters that can be discussed in open session will be, and whether it's policies, procedures, things of that nature. Obviously, we have to hear what they are from the chief first, and we may hear them at some point in time in closed if required before they go to open, but it's just the nature of the beast. I don't know if anybody has any comments or wants to add anything to that. No issues.
Well, just a comment, I guess, Mr. Chair, just look as a suggestion to leading agencies, leading forces across the country in terms of their governance model. Perhaps we could learn from
Sure.
big and small. I would suggest maybe even outside of this region to look to to those commissions on how they have clarified what is enclosed, what is in open, and certainly from this commissioner's perspective, it's about being proactive, transparent, and engaging. I would like to see us engage the majority of our conversation in open session, whether it be whether the public is here or not through the media. We should be live streaming our meetings. There's technologies on our side today, so maybe we can look to other commissions across the country to see if we can learn from
That's a
some
good
of those
point.
lessons.
The Canadian Association of Police Governance certainly is a group that we can, as we are members of that, we can reach out to them and see how other agencies and other commissions deal with the issues. And I, from my past experience as president of that organization, they struggle with the same issues that we struggle with, and at the end of the day, it's about accountability and ensuring that the police department is governed properly and appropriately, and as much information as possible can be brought to the open sessions. Doug?
Yeah, just maybe a comment on something that the chief had mentioned. I think it was last month that you were saying there's some of the data that you have that was been presented in open session in the past was now just going to be posted on websites. So it's not something that's just going to be presented at the. I don't know if you want to comment on that anymore.
So every data we present on open is going to be available for. I thought it was, but in a minute it's only a summary. So we'll put it on our website with everything else that we put out sexual assault stats for the 2017. We put the 2017 study, the 2016 investigative review on our website. And so those that you're holding in your the calls for service.
Monthly activity report.
Yeah, the activity report's going to be there on a monthly basis. We'll go back to the beginning of this year, and then people will be able to see where we are. Same thing with the finance. We're going to have an update on it, not the full budget, because it's I don't when you don't have to go that granular, but the big line items and where we are, variance report and where we are or where we're going. The other thing too is some policy will be added to it. So there's the policy part. And then from those policies, and there's a lot to be done. I got to tell you, there's a lot of policy that we don't have right now that we have to create. And we're creating within, since the past 6 months, I would say once or 3 to 4 a month new policy are coming in for stuff that we've been doing for years. So now we're doing it in the policy. And some of them will create SOP. So the SOP, it's more the operational side. The policy, I got no issue disclosing that as well. So it's, because
And I take it your SOP means standard operating procedure?
Procedure, yeah. So, sorry. So it's SOP, it's standard operating procedure, but policy. So this is the policy, what we intend to do, and SOP is basically how we're going to do it. Sometimes there's stuff that needs to be more tactical in those than strategic. So the strategic part we can disclose there. We'll put it there for people. So we'll use that new website that's being redesigned by the City of St. John, the new framework, to be able to do more communication with the public. So.
Fair enough. Any comments, questions? If not, we will move to the agenda then. Item number 3 on the agenda is the adoption of the September 8, 2020 agenda. Could I get a motion to move by Your Worship, seconded by Mike Costello on the motion? All those in favor, aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carries. It's not my phone.
No, it's one of my phones.
Item number 4 is I'd ask if any member has a conflict of interest of any items on the agenda, please declare it now, and if so, I'll step out. I don't see any, so we'll move on to item number 5. This is a consent agenda. There's 2 items on the consent agenda this month. The first is a letter from the Premier in response to a letter from the St. John Board of Police Commissioners that we sent to him on June 25th, 2020. This is regarding the Independent Investigative Oversight Agency for the province of New Brunswick, or I think CERT they call it in Nova Scotia. The Premier had, I believe I read in the media over previous months, had indicated that he didn't see a need, and correct me if I'm wrong, for a special investigative unit, and in response to our letter, he wrote us on August 11th to advise that they are now looking into the creation of an independent police oversight agency. I am correct, and that's what I
Yes.
read.
Yep. Currently
So-
considering the police oversight body for New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And we'll consider previous and future discussions with First Nations, New Brunswick Police Forces, the New Brunswick Police Commission, and other stakeholders.
I think it's so important personally to have that type of a body. Nova Scotia's had it for years. You know, I believe the province of Brunswick has actually brought the CERT in from Quebec to investigate incidents, and I don't know why, if they can't, you know, find a resolution internally, that they couldn't join forces to have an Atlantic CERT team doing all the provinces. Chief, do you have anything?
Tell you from my point of view, it's crucial. It's, we need to have that for transparency and expedition, quick results so that the family needs to know, members needs to know. So maybe the commission should follow a new, if we have a new premier or.
Following the election, how's that?
Yeah, following the election, because just to remind
Yes.
the power at me, because it's crucial and we're pushing it on the police side as well.
Well, it's certainly in light of the incidents that have happened in other jurisdictions in New Brunswick, and I know they've retained other agencies to investigate those, one involving the RCMP, and not one involving the Edmonton Police Service. It just shows that there's definitely a need. Okay, the motion then would be to receive and file this. If I could have Micah, thank you for the motion. Doug, seconder on that, unless anybody got any further comments or questions on that. On the motion, all those in favor, aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Item 5.010, is just a motion, a letter from the Common Clerk's Office dated August 17th regarding the appointment of Caitlin Dean and Tamara Kelly to a 3-year term.
Receive and file.
Thank you, Your Worship. Seconder on that motion. Doug, on the motion, all those in favor, aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. And I don't believe there's any delegations or presentations this evening, Chief. All right, and there's no items to be dealt with separately from the consent agenda. Item number 8 is the general correspondence that we received that we need to deal with separately. So the internal monthly report is dated for July, and July and August.
Yeah.
It is there. Does anybody have any questions on it?
You want me to introduce it or just?
Yes, please go ahead.
So one complaint in July, August has been dealt with, complimentary correspondence 14, and without no new grievance again for this August. Sorry, it's been out here on the wood.
On the motion, all those in favor, motion to receive and file, could I get that? Thank you, Gary. So on the motion, seconded by Micah. On the motion, all those in favor, aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. 8.02 is the, what the chief referred to earlier, the highlights of the monthly activity report. And it's going to be publicized on the website going forward, but it's also coming to us every month as well, in case we had any questions on it. Chief?
So July, August, call for service are back to what they were pre-COVID. We're trending pretty high regularly. That we're not, we don't have that diminution in call volume that we saw before. So we're back to normal. Day shift are extremely busy for the members responding to call for service, and it's yeah, again, you'll see that there's violent crime and arrests are pretty trending to last year. They're still low year to date, but they're back to normal that we saw and that we see usually at that time of the year. And that's it. Training hours. We had we were able to train on. We got the new Taser 7 that we train every police officer. The majority of the frontline responder with Taser training. So now we've got up to 7 on every shift that goes out to the members, right? How many do we have for, I can't remember the number. 13. So we've got 13 Taser out so that we have less lethal options when we're on the road. So new technology, and it's going to be tied in with evidence.com for our body cam as well. So.
How many, so I think I just heard you say tasers, Chief, sorry,
Yes.
something came on behind.
It's okay, it's my accent.
Does everybody carry a taser? The St. John Police Force that's out?
Yeah, all the frontline officer, all our ETS officer are now trained to carry the taser. So we got 13 available for resources, and we got, in general we got 10 to 11 members on the road, excluding sergeants. So they're allowed to carry it, the new technology.
And what about the body cameras? What's the status of
So,
body
well,
cameras?
I can give you an update. I have a few notes I want to give you an update about, so I'll do that if you don't mind, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
absolutely.
So, call for service are up, again, so they're normal trading. We're currently reviewing our COVID protocol because we're expecting the second wave like everybody. We've been in close discussion with the city and with public health. So how is that gonna look? How are we gonna be able to respond to that? Basically, we're reviewing our protocol that we had for phase 1, and they're pretty much gonna be the same, but is there adjustment we can do to be very effective? That's what we're in the process of doing right now. Buddy cam, they've been received. So they've been, we've got 60 body cam with all the supporting and hardware that goes with it. And we're currently in the process of creating a framework. This policy is gonna go with it. Keeping in mind that there's lots of privacy issue that we have to be able to address, disclosure issue with court, and just the general, how it's gonna work, how it's gonna be deployed. So we're working on that. There's a lot of training. Every single member of the force is gonna have to be trained on how to use it so that they're deployed when they go on the road. One of the obstacles we've got right now is COVID-19. People can't travel, so the trainer for Axon is Arizona or California. That's not two states that we want to have people coming to New Brunswick right now. So we're looking at ways to do it over the electronically, over the internet, see if we can do that. There's also the possibility of probably a trainer from Toronto to come in and assist us, because Toronto is going to do the same thing. So we're looking at ways of doing it. Deadline is, target date's till November 1st. Everybody's gonna be out. So by next meeting, I'll wear mine. I got one that was issued. And I'll wear it so that I can show it to the media how it works. But I'm not training it yet, so I didn't want to start playing with it because last time I did, it started making funny noise. So I was worried it was a bomb that it strapped onto me. That's for the media rather than the camera. So over the month, you want me to keep on going?
Sure,
So we had 6 retirement over the summer. 6 retirement and 6 sworn officer retired and 1 civilian member is retired, all above 30 years service. So lots of knowledge went out the door, and we're in the process of rehiring those people to replace that void. We had 4 on-the-job training cadets, which was quite where we do it every year. COVID-19 was causing a lot of obstacle for us that we have to over, like 2-man cars, right? 2-person cars. We don't have that anymore because we were 1 person per car, so we can't put a cadet and say just follow that car and tell you what to do. So we had to come up that was good for work safe, and that was also good for the members to be able to train their cadets. So 4 OGT and from I think 1 or 2 are from the area, right? So 3 from St. John's, which is interesting because I keep telling them when I met them, I said that's a 10 weeks job interview you're having right now because we're going to be hiring hopefully in the new year. So put the pressure on them. So they all have a smile. I saw some today, so they all have a smile. And then the auxiliary constable return as well. So we got some auxiliary constable program that they were allowed to go on patrol with us. And again, so we use the lesson learned for the OGT program, the on-the-job training program, for the cadets to apply for auxiliary members. They want to contribute, but because of COVID, they couldn't be in the same vehicle. So now we use the same protocol, and some of them are starting to trickle back in and contribute to the force as well. So, and also what retirement comes promotion. So we have 3 promotion that 3 members were promoted to sergeant, and we're gonna have a retirement function and a promotion function all at the same time. It's low key because we don't want to. So that's coming up. Website are great, and there's one more thing I wanted to. I think I said it already. No, that's it.
Thank you. Any questions of the chief? George?
Just a comment, I guess, we've been receiving this report. I guess I'd like to see us have a conversation about, and perhaps it's tied to the strategic planning exercise, Chief, around sustainability, around doing business differently, about innovating, about the service objectives, but different ways to get at that service. I think of, it's maybe not a great example, but I think of, if we were in a mindset that we had to buy, the full-size cruisers all the time versus some of your Corollas that you've bought for different, for different roles. But what can be civilianized? What can be done differently? This report of, thousands and thousands and thousands of calls where we receive and file it, ask you a couple of questions, and then move to the next month and we receive the report again. I'd like to pull the onion back and figure out where do we want to be in 5 years and where's it trending. And I had a conversation with the I guess he's still the current premier a while back around the number of medical calls that first responders are going to, and I said rather bluntly, I said, Premier, that's yours. You've downloaded that onto officers with mental health calls. You've downloaded that, our fire service, we had 59 structure fires last year, 3,050 medical responses. Get more ambulances. We can't afford it. So I just register that with the commission, Mr. Chair, to say, like, we can just keep receiving these, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but we keep receiving these, or we say, okay, let's pull the report apart and support our chief and our officers in what's core policing and what isn't, and
So what are we doing?
Focus on sustainability, because I just don't believe we're sustainable today.
Chief,
So,
sorry.
thanks for jogging my memory. It's age, right? It's I can't blame my accent for that one. It's just age. The mental health response crisis team that we're going. So we got 2 constables identified. We got the Horizon did the interview with Inspector LeBlanc. They had a selecting committee. 5 people applied. 2 were selected, and they're going in training in the end of September, last week of September. So, and then hopefully by the first week of October, the first team's going to be out, constable with a nurse, and they'll be responding to calls. What the commission needs to be aware is that it's a Greater St. John area. That's my age again. Greater St. John area. Don't put Vancouver, please. Put St. John. Greater St. John area. So we'll be responding to KV. We'll be responding to St. George, all the way up to St. George, right?
Yeah, and
LaPro.
Browns Flats.
So, but we.
How is that getting funded if
They're paying for it. So Horizon Health's paying for the $300,000. So as a result, which I didn't know about, but we had to work. So there's dynamic that needs to be worked in between police of jurisdiction, and we're engaged with the RCMP and KV to come up with the solution. So there'll be we don't want to have a police officer in other jurisdiction without them knowing. So we're working on the notification process and the assistance process when we go through that. So.
and the officer, correct me if I'm wrong, when I heard this earlier, will not be wearing a uniform?
They won't. They'll be out. They'll use a force option, but it'll be a tone. They'll be identified as police officer, but it won't be the vest of the big police. That's it may be internal. So we're still working on that dynamic of it. So.
Question.
Oh, I was just going to echo what the mayor said about looking at where there's gaps and where there could be collaboration with the province, and I think that's a perfect example of it, because I know from my vantage point, we're seeing a lot of mental health issues, and it's not always the answer, so I think it's really good to hear that.
There's a lot of calls that are not mental health driven, but are not mental health calls, but they're mental health driven. And I'll give you an example. When we get a call at 6 in the morning, there's homeless people in the ATM lobby that we go to move them along. We get nowhere. We just go to move them along. That's a mental health call. Like most, they have mental health issue needs to be addressed. It's not captured the mental health call, but it's a mental health driven calls. There's a whole bunch of calls like that we're hoping that will be. So the key is to go to those crises. I'm hoping that we don't have crisis for 11 hours a day and non-stop for 7 days a week, because that's our 12 hours a day. So I'm hoping that there will be a lot of proactive time that we can go and engage with those calls, with connecting with our calls for service that are not mental health crisis, but they're mental health related, to be able to be proactive in that and bring those calls down. But most importantly, is get the people the help that they need. Because we're not trained. I didn't become a police officer to be a mental health officer, but sometimes that's what we do, right? So we have to give those people the help that they need. And sadly, it's not policing resources that they need, but that's what they're going to get right now. So by working with them, we'll be able to increase that. So no, it's exciting. I got to tell you, as a police chief, it's not me, and I'll give the credit to Horizon and Chief Connell. It's exciting because I lived it in Vancouver, where it's called Car 67, where they'll come to those calls, and the people there will get the help that they need, and it's quite exciting. So.
I think it'll help us build a case too.
Yes.
For further.
For further expansion. And
I have to say, particularly this piece during my ride-along was absolutely eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Like, I had no idea until, I've spent a shift and I saw it. That was, yeah.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Chief.
So was there anything else you wanted to know?
I didn't have anything, but is anybody else?
So I need a report.
Receive and file
And,
motion. 8.02, could I get a motion to receive and file? Micah, thank you. Mike, seconder. On the motion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Item 8.03 is the overview of the St. John Police Force July 20th financial results. You have those before you. Any questions, comments?
So we changed the format, so just to point out to the commission, where we used to have a year-to-date comparison.
Yes.
So what happened in 2019, it has no bearing on what's gonna happen in 2020. And I'm hoping that 2020 will be unique and that 2021 won't be like 2020 because of everything we're living. So now what I asked Craig with the new financial manager coming in, senior financial manager, and I like looking ahead. So I like to see variance, and so that report's been changed now, so you'll see where we are. And to your point, just some, and you'll be able to answer those questions. There's some area where we're overspending, some other where we are saving, so in the end, the bottom line is going to be respected. But we're trying to put in place processes that's going to help us out, flatten, if you will, the financial draw for something like we know, vehicle. We need vehicle, right? So let's start planning ahead that we have an evergreen process with computer, with any tangible asset that's predictable, so that it's not a surprise. Oh, this year we have to replace 150 vests. Well, do we? Or we could have done 50 next year, 50 last year, and then 50 this year, so we don't have a big fluctuation, if you will, in the budget.
So Chief, I see salary and wages are substantially over budget at this point. What?
Yeah, that's my bonus. Sorry. I'm just kidding, Yeah.
That's,
So
what's that today?
that's related to all those retirement. We had to pay vacation pay. So you'll see that even though it's off, year-to-date variance is high, in the year-end variance, we're going to be $210, predicted to be $210,000 under budget.
Okay.
So this year, because we had all those six that I,
Yeah.
so there's vacation pay that needed to be paid and all that stuff. So the blow to our salary budget was this month, so it'll flatten out. I'll be even increasing, right?
Okay.
Okay. So it's not my bonus. Don't worry.
Any questions?
So what's the asset, and then the only other line there is the asset purchases,
Which line?
so we've got an annual budget of 402, but we're forecasting 710.
Yes.
Vehicles.
Cars.
So we purchased some additional vehicles probably a month ago, and we haven't received all the vehicles we ordered from last year, so it's more of a timing difference on that. So, with the surplus of the wages, we'll be able to offset that. Kind of the last year for this, as you're well aware of, the new budget monitoring policy that's implemented at the city side of things. So, the surpluses and deficits and wages and benefits cannot be used to offset our surpluses in goods and services. So that's something the chief and I will have to work towards for our 2021 budget.
And we'll be aligned with the city budgeting. I like budget process, and I think we need to be more proactive with that too. So that's one thing that Craig's been tasked with, and we're trying to educate everybody at the senior management level. Everybody's going to be responsible for their budget. Want to be responsible, not only as making sure we stick to it, but creating that budget. So that everybody's going to be consulted in the process, so that they know why do we need to buy this year. Is that must this year, or we can be deferred, and then we have evergreening. I believe in evergreening because we know those are coming up, so let's plan for them ahead of time. So the camera is a good example. Now we've got the cost over 5 years. In 5 years, we need to reinvest in that again. So we know it's coming, so let's start planning for it.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to receive and file 8.03? Micah, thank you. Gary, thank you. So on the motion, all those in favor, aye. Contrary minded, nay. Motion carried. Item 8.04 is the EFCC budget results, financial results, I should say, for July 2020. Any questions on that?
Overtime is high on that one because we're short, and it's going to be it's offset by the salary saving basically. So if you look at it, it's about a $15,000 difference at the end of the year predicted. So
Questions? Can I get a motion then to receive and file 8.04? Your worship, thank you. Mike is
Sorry,
starting.
I do have a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
Revenues.
Yeah, so we're a little off on, we anticipated a lot more of, we have a lot more fire services coming on board. this year, 2020, however, due to COVID and a couple other issues with Bell, that was delayed, so we're not seeing the revenues that we anticipated.
Chief?
And for the police side of it, one of the intent, or one of the outcome of the dual bid was less motor vehicle accident, which resulted in less revenue for motor vehicle accident report. So I think we're gonna be down 15,000 or 12,000 at that we were expecting revenue, but it's good because there's no accident, so.
Yep. So I had moved, did you second that too, Mike? Thank you. On the motion, all those in favor, aye. Contrary, nay, motion carried. That ends our open session meeting, ladies and gentlemen. We'll move into close. Again, have a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Gary. All righty. We're going back into close.